The Japanese tour continues for our Spec Racer Ford drivers, from one track that saw Formula One action to another that has a history with IndyCar. But while most American open wheel fans probably remember the oval circuit of this venue better, the road course did see the series take to it in its final year. Today's open cockpit machines are a lot less powerful with a lot less downforce, but should provide just as much action. We'll see who can tame this mountaintop road course as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Weekend Warriors presented by Sim Stickers, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Stefan Schlacker. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Steph, Motegi doesn't see quite as much use here in iRacing, so some of our fans might not know the stats. Why don't you fill us in?
Well, for the second time in a row, I'm allowed to welcome you all in Japanese. So from me, Motegi kara konbanwa. A twin-ring Motegi built as one of 200 test tracks alongside Suzuka. It opened in August 1997, just about 28 kilometers away from the Japanese coast, east of the city of Motegi, the most eastern city of the prefecture Tochigi. But we're not here to take a swim in the Pacific today. Oh no, we're here to race. After Okayama, we see once again another technical track laid out before us, but this time it's a lot faster. 1.59 miles in length, 14 turns and a whopping 5 turns that make up 4 180-degree turns. Overtaking action is guaranteed. By the way, fun fact, apart from kart and the other following the IndyCar racing series, the NASCAR Cup Series here raced once on the oval in 98 for the Coca-Cola 500, the first ever race. Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Jr. raced against each other in the Cup Series. But now it's time to find out how it feels to drive the Spec Racer Ford around the twin-ring Motegi Grand Prix tag in our GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Stefan Schlacker in the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Motegi. Down into turn 1, drivers might find it difficult to pass just from a few interesting aspects of the layout. The way it connects to turn 2, this double apexer isn't terribly slow, and it's much more important to set yourself up for the run down to 3. So most drivers will be trying to line up the exit and get a good head of steam up the next straight. That's because turn 3 is a much sharper corner and offers a more clear chance at overtaking. And though the draft won't allow you to fully slingshot by, it can often pull you in close enough for an attack. Unfortunately, many times it can go wrong and drivers find themselves riding through the gravel. Unlike the first 2 turns, coming out of 4 offers a much wider radius and is easily flat out. Combine that with the fact that turn 5 is the sharpest of this back and forth section, and you've got one of the most popular overtaking spots on the track. The racing line takes us drifting across to the left, but be careful. It's easy to get greedy and overshoot the corner, making it much more likely you'll be passed rather than passing someone. Now we swing under the oval into the outfield, where we'll hug the inside of 6. While some drivers who are getting desperate might try to pass into 7, it's rather tough to execute. It'll mostly be single file racing in this set of S's. It doesn't help that things tighten up with 8, but it'll sort the good from the great because of the precision needed here. After that, the track heads for 9, which often sees surprise attacks. Honestly, it's a bit odd because the next 3 corners are all great opportunities to overtake. It does need to be noted that 9 tightens up on the exit, so you'll probably see drivers get off into the grass when they get greedy with the power. Turn 10 is a straightforward 180-degree turn, and also where the entry for the support pits lies. But that's not really important to this layout. What is that it leads onto one of the longest straights of the track. Obviously, this is where the draft comes into play the most and can offer one of the easiest places to get by someone holding you up. But it does end with a downhill braking for 11, which makes this corner deceptively hard to nail. That brings us back under the oval and into the infield once again. But this last chicane is easily the hardest corner of the track with its curved braking zone. You'll be threading the needle while also trying to keep the car from getting unbalanced with the SRF's lift throttle oversteer. But hopefully, if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Motegi. You see a lap around Twin Ring Motegi, bit of a long lap, so qualifying really hasn't seen too many of them already take to the board. However, we do want to remind you that this series is brought to you by supportforguys.com. Are you busy? Are you stressed out from adulting? You don't have to let it stop there. Talk to someone about it. SupportForGuys.com is here and waiting to have a chat with you. They want to help you deal with the pressure of living in the modern world. They keep it simple. Visit their website, supportforguys.com, and you can arrange to speak to a counselor today. You deserve a happy life. Let them help. SupportForGuys.com. So with that, let's take a look at the championships. Of course, the Spec 1 currently being led by Dimitri Hudaludis, but look at this. Iro Nam closes in, or stays close, I should say. He does drop one position. Dimitri managed to pull one over on him at Okayama, but it's still only 2 points difference between them. And then look at that. Everybody else is just fighting for scraps. It's 80 points back for Steve Elson, who does jump up one place. In fact, all of our top 5 here at the bottom 3 of them jump up one position. Chauvin and Perry as well. And a pretty close fight between the 3 of them to try and take that final spot on the podium. However, we have a Spec 2 championship. And Steph, what are we looking at for the points there?
Well, Joe, all I can say, it is mighty close. We have got about 40 points, in exactly 38 points between first and fifth. In first, we have Wayne Palmer sitting on 228 points. Behind him, in second, we have Bob Kern being 7 points just behind him. Ross Nicholson is in third, gaining 3 positions from last time around, being 26 points behind. Fourth, we have Todd Hansen, 30 points behind, and in fifth, we have Christopher L. Smith dropping 33 points with his drop week so far, being 38 points behind our leader.
So drop weeks starting to come into play here in this series. Now, if you've never watched this series, The Weekend Warriors, why don't we give you a few details on how this thing runs. Of course, as we mentioned, we are in round 6 now, so it's halfway through the season. They do have open setups in this car, but just know if you've never driven the Spec Racer Ford here on iRacing, it does mimic everything you can do in real life with the setup, which means not a lot. They're pretty stock. You can just change and tweak a few little things, but otherwise, you run it as you brung. They have limited the fuel, which means you can expect 1 pit stop in the short 40-minute race. And instead of awarding points the same every time, they ration it. It goes 100 to the winner, 25 to last place, and everything in between is shuffled around according to how many drivers show up each week. They get some penalty points if they have incidents. Now, incidents are considered off tracks, spins, contact with another car, contact with the wall. Basically, anything that is unsafe. This is to try to keep drivers, give them incentive to try and stay both on the track as well as drive safely out there, because these cars can bang around sometimes. They do have a fast repair in case you do bang it around a little bit and get too much damage, so you can jump in, take the free car, get back out with a clean one. Hopefully that happens before your scheduled stop. As we mentioned, only one expected out there. As qualifying works its way through, looks like Kane Halliburton currently up at the top. But the interesting thing about his qualifying time, Steph, is I only see one time put in. Every single one, other than that one lap time he's put in, he's had an off track.
Yes, and Hudaludis is just 2/1000ths faster than Kane Halliburton. So it is close, and you can see with Halliburton, it is tough to keep your car that fast over a full lap.
Yeah, it looks like he is pushing all the way to the edge and then some. Dimitri looking to try and extend his lead over Nam. Right now he's positioned well for it because Nam's sitting in third. He's gotten a few laps in, and he is much closer than what we saw of him in warm-up, because it seemed like he had trouble trying to get up with both Kane and Dimitri, but it seems like he's found some pace out here in the quali session.
Well, he was 4/10ths back, now he's 3/10ths back. He is closing in ever so slightly, lap by lap. So let's see what he can do by the end of this session. But one thing we also have to mention, there's right now roughly a 7/10th gap between third and fourth, that being Nom and Perry.
In fact, Perry's just coming across the line now. Let's see if this lap counts for him. It does, but it is not faster. 5/100ths of a second slower for Jason Perry. He is working together a little bit right now with Michael Shaw, so that might help gain him some time.
Chapman just put in a lap time 11 thousandths faster than Jason Perry, putting him into 4th and closing the gap between Nom and Perry ever so slightly.
Have a bit of a newer face here coming over from the Camel GT series. Luis Emerton behind those two, sitting in 6th, and he seems to have a fair bit of speed in these SRFs. So looks like he's satisfied with his qualifying. With only 3 minutes left, he'll barely be able to get out for one more if he chooses to.
Emerton surprises me here a little bit. He normally, if we think about Camel GT, he's not a qualifier guy. He's always made to back of the grid. So seeing him up here in 6th, he must feel very confident about his setup, the car, and the track.
Yeah, looks like he's sussed something out for sure as we ride on board with Kane Halliburton. He's nearly done with another lap. He has gotten another one in, but it was a 2:16. So that was probably just a warm-up lap. You do cross the line coming out of the pits here. Look at him wheel it. Wow, counter steering a lot out of that hairpin. I have to imagine that's got to cost him a little time.
It does, because this car is so much about momentum. You have a little wiggle or even a major wiggle and you're gonna lose major time.
Love how these open cockpit cars allow us to really see what the driver is doing inside. Coming back under this, one of the unique features of this road course, it's not quite a roval, we should point out. This venue has an oval and a road course, but you can see they are not connected at all. So drivers just running the road course version here at Motegi as Kane comes across the line. Let's see what this one counts for. A 2:14. That was very slow.
That was about 4/10 slower than his qualifying lap so far. And not only you can't do a real roval on this track, but you also they can't run an oval race and the road race at the same time because they need that pit building of the road course to function on the oval course.
Ah, I actually did not know that. So fascinating stuff. Ironome comes across. He's trying to beat that 2:11.7. Let's see if this lap counts. It does not. He had an off. He's going to get one more time around with the laps being over 2 minutes. Pretty much everybody who comes across now will only get that one more, as Adam Bradshaw certainly isn't going to count this lap.
Well, the interesting thing right now is Dimitris Hudiludis is not putting in any lap time. So if someone goes faster than him, he's not going to be able to counter it.
Yep, that's going to be it for Dimitri, and the guy starting next to him, Kane Halliburton on the front row, is out there. You mentioned it earlier, only 2/1000ths of a second. That's a really small margin. This is a gutsy move from Dimitri, if you ask me.
Well, he has to feel really confident about his lap to do something like that, because if someone beats you even just by the slightest amount, just 1 inch faster or something like that, and you're gonna be second.
As we ride on board the end of Halliburton's lap, this one looked a lot smoother out of the hairpin. I did notice on screen we were following Nim Cross, and I noticed he is part of the Pennsylvania club. So I guess he's not claiming New England as his, since he works over there at iRacing. Kane Halliburton now back under the oval through the final chicane, one of the trickiest corners on the track. A little bit of traffic in front of him, but that shouldn't affect him. That's Francois Van Dornveld and Paul Hickey. In fact, they should give him just the slight bit of draft, although he pulls out from the side.
Interesting.
So that won't help him, yeah. Oh, and he does take it! Oh. Well, this just got spicy.
Let's actually see what Aaron Nom can do in this lap. He's now going under the tunnel, coming back to the last 3 cars here.
Last gasp for Kane Halliburton to get himself onto the provisional pole. Aaron Nom out of the chicane himself. Last lap didn't count. Was this a cleaner one? He's going to come across the line, so he seems to think that it's going to be clean. As he goes across, it is faster, but not fast enough.
Let's see, do we have someone else?
Jason Nimcross is going to get another one. Jason Perry is the next highest driver who has an opportunity to try to dethrone some of these people. He sits in 5th.
I'm not sure if Jason Perry has got over the line before it ran out.
That's a good point. Yeah, he's very early in the lap, so he might be done.
Cross into pits. And while we're on Nimcross and him going over the grass, we've got message from Steve that cutting the grass ever so slightly, no matter what on the track, pit in or on the track while racing, is not allowed and will be penalized.
Obviously, there is a bit of a little thing that you can do on pit entry where you can cut the grass and not get a slowdown. So that's why they have that rule. Jens Nordstrom currently racing in 11th, and he's on a very good lap here. Let's see what he can get.
Or not.
Not quite there.
2/10 slower.
It's ever so tight. So 11th will be the best that we see from him. Jason Perry does. Yeah, Paul Godden just finished his
slow lap.
Not good enough for anything. I believe we have two more drivers still out there, Perry being one of them. I don't think Perry's going to be able to finish this one. Indeed, he's coming in. Emil Orza as well is finished. So that's going to set our grid. Let's go through our starting order. Kane Halliburton managed to steal the pole away on his very last lap. Dimitri Houdaloutis, though, I think he's a little bit more concerned about being where he is on the front row in second, because behind him is his main rival in the championship, Iro Nom, starting third. Alan Chapman starting P4 with Jason Perry starting in fifth. And then Luis Emerton, as we noted, finding some great qualifying pace in a car that we're not familiar seeing him in sixth. Daniel Sadro starting seventh with Austin Winter starting in eighth. P9 goes to Michael Shaw, and then row 5 is rounded out by Philippe Chauvin.
In row 6, we will have Jens Nordstrom and Paul Godden alongside each other. Christopher L. Smith being in 13th alongside him. Adam Bradshaw in 14th. Top 15 is rounding out Geoff Jacobson. Nimcross missing out on that by just a few hundredth of a second in 16th. Fred Dessau 17th. Seeloff 18th. Paul Hickey and Francois von Donnevelde running out our top 20.
The last of the field's going to be Tom Gradwell starting 21st with the double deuce spot going to Miro Hakrasky. Jerry McAreevy, very bad qualifying for him. We're used to seeing up at the top 5 for Jerry. He'll start 23rd. Jeff Cantor starts P24 with Asa Numi, the last of our drivers who managed to get qualifying time in, starting 25th. Then the final 3 did not get a time in. Emil Orza 26th, Gary Wolbold 27th, and Todd Hansen starting in 28th. Cars already lining up on the grid as we wait for everybody to wheel it out there, make sure that they've got their race fuel in. It will be a rolling start. As you can see, the roof pace car sitting out on track. And a lot of long straightaways here. So honestly, with the number of heavy braking zones at the end of long straights, Steph, I expect passing to be not too difficult today like some other tracks.
It won't be difficult, and we will see plenty of action. Hopefully we won't see any samurai slices today, but it can happen here because these turns really lure someone into doing the samurai slice and just diving up the inside and trying to take a position away that they just can't afford.
Does that mean that any body damage could really hurt your lap times? Is keeping it nice and clean going to be critical?
To my experience, yes, it will be, basically just because these cars are so draft dependent, or rather drag dependent. The less drag, the better.
Right, as we sit on board with Spider-Man, Jason Perry here. The rest of the cars coming out to the grid, and I think that's all of them. They should be out there. So, roof pace car indeed dutifully takes off. Gets ready to lead them through just a couple corners, then we go racing for 40 minutes here in the Weekend Warriors, presented by Sim Stickers. Coming up to one of the... Oh, whoa! Big contact there. That was Iro Nom, Jason Perry.
Oh boy, more contact. Ooh.
Car's getting stacked up. Well, this is not good. This is certainly going to set the tone for the race for a few drivers who seem to have... already accrued some damage. So as the roof pace car jumps in. Halliburton will have control. Hopefully it'll be a little smoother here out of the chicane. Waiting for the green flag to wave. Green flag is out, and Kane Halliburton immediately gets onto the power. Iro Nam gets a much better jump than Dimitri Hudaludis. This is great news for him, as he's going to be able to get ahead of his rival, almost 3 wide behind them, as the cars spread out down into 1 and 2. Most everybody managing to get into these and out of these corners safely.
Yes, the first corner is always very important to not do anything stupid here, because tires are cold, brakes are cold. Just take it easy and simple.
And immediately Dimitri retakes Iro Nam coming down to turn 3. Made that look easy. Wonder if Iro's got enough damage that it's hurting his straight line speed. Now they come down towards turn 5. This back and forth between them is allowing Kane Halliburton to get a little bit of a gap.
Well, in the top 5 we have 4 cars that are damaged, or sorry, 3 cars that are damaged, so it's really hurting some of these guys, as it looks like.
Yeah, Perry, one of them that has damage on his right front at the moment. Now they work their way through the S's of 7 and 8 up towards turn 9.
Touch. Good save there by Emerton.
Emerton has made good on this start despite the monster checkup we saw there. Thankfully, I think he avoided some of that. He's ahead of Perry at the moment. Chapman, another one of the drivers that has heavy damage. He sits in 4th. Now we come on the longest straight of the track, just off the hairpin. Who's going to get a good exit? Who doesn't?
Exit speed, all important here, but Dimitris is too far away from Halliburton. And yeah, Aeronam is down on speed here on both of them, so his damage is really hurting him, and of all the people that got damage, he's got the worst.
Michael Shaw made a little bit of contact with Daniel Sadro. That allows Philippe Chauvin to sneak through. This is a 9th position. So Chauvin into the chicane finds himself 1 more up, and in fact Michael Shaw behind him. Oh, as we got a battle up front. Kane Halliburton being overtaken by Dimitri Hudaludis. He won last week, and Dimitri's trying to make it a twofer.
Well, that was a mistake from Kane Halliburton, getting all squared up out of the last turn, and Hudaludis just taking advantage of it, going right the inside of him.
This gives Ironam a little bit of ground to be gained as he gets close to the rear of Halliburton, now through 3 and 4. Flat out through the left-hander. And one thing we should note is that Noam currently has Chapman, who is his teammate, behind him. So if these two start to battle it with both Halliburton and Hudaludis, he's got some help. It's still a battle between Emerton and Perry. Staying very close behind. He'll need to with the damage on the front of that car.
Yes, and one thing I want to say real quick about Nam. In turn 3, he showed us what his strength is into that turn, and it is the braking. He massively gained on them, just through that braking zone.
On screen, we saw Emerton go way off course out of turn 8. He's still out of sorts. Jason Perry has to duck out, almost making contact. Inside is going to go back to Emerton as they come up to the braking for 10. If I was Jason, maybe back up the corner, try to over-under him. He's not going to try that. He's just going to go clear around the outside. And it looks like he's going to bring Winner with him.
Well, Austin is thinking to himself, winner, winner, chicken dinner, I'm going to take both of you. Or not, as he gives a heavy push to Perry and stays behind him.
Looks like that worked out anyways, but now this is stacking all of them up. We got a train. Perry leads them currently in 5th. Then it's Winner, then Emerton, then Sadro, and they're starting to bring Chauvin in.
Yes, Shaw is coming, and Shaw is dropping off as... Oh, Sadro
keeps it out of the racing line, so he should be able to get it going once again. At the same time that was happening, Jerry McAreevy had a moment where he was trying to make a pass on Paul Hickey, and unfortunately, Both of them caught damage from some contact. So there's Sadro continuing on all the way down in 17th, unfortunately. So watch Ironam leading Chapman around. A lot of battling going around in the back part of the group. Tom Gradwell. Oh, actually, we're going to 13th here. This is Adam Bradshaw. A very close fight with Christopher Smith.
Yes, and Christopher Smith, remember, he's in the top 5 of our Spec 2 drivers, so he really needs to gain that position on Bradshaw to move himself into contention of the lead of the Spec 2 drivers.
Right now, the lead of that Spec 2 class is led by Paul Godden. He's actually in 10th right now. It's a nice climb. That's before pit stops. Although,
yes,
Jens Nordstrom's trying to challenge him. That's also a Spec 2 driver.
And our Spec 2 drivers show why they are so high up in the standings. Now, I have to say, since we didn't note that, the leading Spec 2 driver is in 12th overall in the standings.
Oh, Adam Bradshaw with problems. Spun himself out coming out of turn 9, just went off into the grass, got the car turned back around and going again, but he is now down in 20th after looking at a top 5 in his class.
As right now, Fred Desson splitting our top battle for the Spec 2 lead between Paul Godden and Jens Nordstrom. Oh, Paul Godden spins it.
Well, that's
hit the wall.
That's going to give the lead in Spec 2 easily to Nordstrom now. Mistakes seem to be costly. A few drivers having issues early on. He gets going once again, but Paul Godden gets demoted down to 17th from that incident. Jason Perry still trying to hold off multiple cars. Austin Winter and Luis Emerton trailing right behind him. You can see the 2 cars ahead of them, Noam and Chapman, pretty much working together at this point. Just running their race, waiting for strategy to allow them maybe to use a little bit of help from that. But look at that, way off track once again from Emerton. That's the second time on corner exit we've seen Luis take to the grass there.
Yes, and it seems like he has problems with this. Oh, Perry!
Perry off into the kitty litter coming out of turn 5. That cost him the position to Austin Winter. Winter moves himself from 8th to 5th here in the early stages. Now,
one thing, as we go to P10, one thing we have to mention is that a lot of these turns can be driven in multiple ways. Like, you name a line you can drive there and you can probably drive it. It's just incredible how much lines you can take, and all are as fast as the other ones, so watch out for people trying to use other lines to their advantage to overtake someone.
Speaking of overtaking, Christopher Smith has gotten past Jens Nordstrom. This Spec 2 lead has changed hands more in the last 2 laps than we've seen any lead, I think, change hands in the whole season. This is amazing stuff here in Spec 2. It seems like drivers are hungry to try to get up to the top of that championship. As they come down the backstretch, though, Smith gets himself well clear of Nordstrom, having a chance to attack him back down into 11. Downhill right-hander, won't see much between these two unless we get a big mistake out of them.
Now, with Christopher leading now our Spec 2 drivers in this race, this is huge for the championship. As, give me a second, I'm gonna look that up, how far he is back right now, but it's somewhere in the 30 points range.
Look at this weave to the inside. That was Sadro and Emil Orza behind them in a little bit of battle of their own. This is for 12th and 13th. Not going to offer an opportunity for Sadro down into turn 1. Going to have a much better chance with the heavy braking into 3. Closes in as we ride on the back of Orza, but not close enough. And then one more time, switching back with another double apexer. Let's see if third time's the charm.
Third time can most definitely be the charm, and Daniel is close enough and overtakes him easily.
That looked like Emil was handing that one over. I think he braked awful early. Just let Sadro through. So move Daniel up to P12. Haven't missed any changes up at the top. Hootaludis leads Halliburton by about half a second. One thing that has changed significantly is the gap to third. Ironom seems to really be hurting from that damage. He is 5 seconds back.
And at this point, I wonder, is it still worth driving out there, or should he make that call for the pit stop and drive in early?
I would have to think he's got to come in and take a spare car. It's getting to be the pit window right now, I think.
Yes. The question obviously is, now I don't remember how big this window is, but if I remember right, it is quite big in these cars.
I want to say roughly 15 minutes at most tracks. Oh yeah, there you go. Let's see if he does it safely into the pit entry. There you go. All right, so doesn't cut any of the grass. Then he's going to go all the way to the end of the pit lane since he qualified up at the top of the field. Oh, Christopher Smith has just had a big problem. And he wasn't he our leader in Spec 2 again? And
yes, he was.
Once again, it was turn 11.
Yes, Christopher L. Smith once again shows on the replay how difficult the 90-degree corner is. And that's literally the name of this turn. 90-degree corner, turn 11, spins it around, perfect 360-degree turn, and goes again off.
Going, but he will return in 15th. Did they actually name these corners here? I've never seen names for the corners.
Yes, turn 11 is called 90-degree corner, for example.
Very creative.
Yes. It's Japanese creatism.
Oh, and is that Nom that we're watching there?
Yes, that is Nom.
He's trying to get through Jerry McAreevy and being held up by Chris Smith. Now, this is the sort of counter argument to what we were saying, I guess, Stefan, is that it puts him back in his traffic. Is it faster for him to fix the damage and deal with the traffic, or vice versa?
In this case, I think it is still faster that he fixed his damage than to continue racing with the damaged car and holding up his teammate.
He's having a little bit of trouble in the thick of a lot of slower cars as we ride on board. Man, he is really in the midst of it right now. That's Smith ahead of him, Paul Godden as well, both former leaders in the Spec 2. He's going to stick it to the inside of turn 9, but doesn't get the run off the corner, so he's got to continue to try and work his way around these slower class cars. Oh! Did he just get into the back of Christopher? 3 wide. Oh, and that scares the car of Paul Godden all the way off the track. Loses time, loses a little bit of pride, but other than that, the car not damaged.
Well, Paul Godden already got it very wrong in the middle of the hairpin, and then once he recovered from that, once again tried to go hard on the throttle and just wasn't able to do it. One thing we have to mention here, Gary McAreevy is fighting here with Aeronom, and that is something that really surprises me. He started way back, and he is still way back in this field from where he normally is.
But remember, he had a spin at the start, so that certainly hampered his efforts to climb through, but he's made quite a bit of progress down to the inside on Aeronom. Trying to finish the pass out of turn 2, and I think he's got it done, as it looks like he's got the momentum. Oh, maybe not. Here comes McAreevy back at him.
McAreevy is right there on the inside. Let's see if he can outbrake Aeronom. Yes, he can. Still side by side we go. Aeronom on the grass.
Out of turn 4. Little bit of momentum in favor of Aeronom, using the outside ahead of them, side-by-side action. Now McAreevy lets him through. Smith on the outside of Todd Hansen gets that done, but Aeronom almost gets into the back of Hansen.
And that right now is the big problem of Aeronum. He is so strong on the brakes that he has to be careful to not just run over one of the midfielders here when he does his normal racing.
Gets through Hansen. Hansen also going to lose out to McAreevy. He's got to go a long way around a turn 8. Finds the grip. It's going to switch back into 9. I think McAreevy is going to have this one. What if we could get a close-up, though, of Ironom's front? Remember, he made contact last lap into this corner as he was trying to pass cars. I'm trying to see if he took any damage from that. Looks clean from there.
All right, let's have a try on this Spec 2 championship, shall we? With our current leader, Jens Nordström, he is 58 points behind Bob in first. Now, remember, sorry, not Bob, Wayne. And Wayne is right now not here. He's not racing. So if Jens can carry his right now 8th position through to the finish, he's gonna carry in a lot of points into this championship as he pits.
Yes, Nordstrom coming down to his stall. I can also report that Luis Emerton, one of our front runners, has hit the pits. Number of Emerton is out, but he is well behind Ironom. But Emerton also going to be stuck in traffic as he's got to fight with Adam Bradshaw. If he can clear him, he's going to have a lot of clear air ahead of him. He certainly doesn't want to be held up fighting him if he's trying to leapfrog some other drivers through the strategy down into turn 3, and Bradshaw eventually gives up the ghost.
Yes, Bradshaw kind of like in a blue flag situation as we have a spin in front of them. That's Fred Desson. Back onto the road there again in front of Lewis.
Yeah, look at all the cars streaming by though. That spin came at a horrible time. A lot of traffic overtaking him. Tries to come back into it though. Way late on the brakes. Almost gets into Michael Shaw, but gets it woed up in time. Now
that
down
could
to
have been.
Go ahead.
That could have been very costly for both of them.
Wow. Took a long time for Jerry McAreevy to get around Todd Hansen. He finally overtook him just into turn 7. Remember, he was following Ironom through, and Ironom is way up the road at this point. I guess this really clarifies the difference in talent between some drivers. And did we have a problem with Emil Orza? Nope, sorry. Just a connection issue with the number 99. He's back.
Oh, Gary nearly spins it in the hairpin there.
He seems to be struggling today. I wonder if he got a little damage from something.
Or if he just wasn't able to get his setup right, because his car is 100% clean on the outside. But yeah, he just seems to not be happy with his car throughout the race so far.
Look, it seems like pretty ideal conditions out here. It's 79 degrees track temperature. I'd have to check to see what that is Celsius. So it's not a
21.
really greasy track. There you go, 21. So, I mean, is it like some cars where when it's cold, it can actually be more difficult because of the extra grip, or what do you think's happening?
It's hard to say with these cars how they are really gonna behave, because you have so small tires, little power, but a lot of momentum that you have to carry through the turns. So it can go either way, but I think that these cars are not really getting affected by any weather unless it's very hot or very cold.
Let's stay on this battle between Sadro and Orza, but I want to update our viewers on Ironom. His teammate Alan Chapman has pitted and has come out just a little over a second behind him, so those two probably going to continue to work together, I would imagine. So we watch this battle for 6th place. These two yet to stop. They are actually right in front of Gnome and Chapman, just by a few seconds.
Now, the interesting thing here is, obviously with Chapman, even though he had to clean a run after Nom pitted, he still came out behind him. So that really tells you how strong Nom is on a clean car, even though he has to fight through the traffic.
Yeah, and I think I might have to retract what I said before, because Chapman even in this half a lap, has dropped off 0.4 of a second. Noam clearly looking like he is going to run away from the number 25. Meanwhile, in 10th place, Christopher Smith and C Love side by side through the hairpin. We've seen this before. Coming off the high side, it looks like momentum very much in favor of Chris Smith. And he is going to be fully clear even before they hit the braking.
Yes, and these two are our two leading Spec 2 drivers. As Seeloff comes back in the draft. Let's see if he can outbrake Christopher. Yes, he can. Very late move there.
And he sealed the deal. Yeah, it's going to switch back. And it looks like Smith is able to fend him off from the outside. Oh, no, looks... that was clever from the driver of C Love.
As that brought Gary McAreevy into Christopher Spec. Let's see if he can make something happen in the next 2 turns or so.
Yeah, Jerry's another one that's yet to take his stop. Right on top of him.
There you were able, for example, to see the 2 different lines with Gary taking in the wide entrance and then cutting in, and Christopher cutting in, swinging out and then cutting it back again. Like, it's so difficult to say what is the best race line because they're all so close in pace.
If anybody's wondering why Jerry McAreevy is so far back, we're not entirely sure of the reasoning. He only did 2 laps in qualifying. You had time for way more than that. And one was a 250, so very much off the pace there. The other was a 215, which also is quite slow compared to the leaders. So I'm not sure what kept him out. Maybe something in real life caused him to have to step away after he ran those laps. Regardless, it's put him behind the 8 ball and currently physically behind Christopher Smith.
Yeah, so something happened there, or I don't know what. But his lap time so far, this last lap from him was his fastest lap with a 2:13.956, which is by nearly 2 seconds faster than his so far qualifying lap. So, yeah, something happened to Jerry, but he is recovering. He's recovering very well, starting 23rd right now in 11th.
Let's head up to the battle for the podium, although that will change once these 2 drivers pit. But Austin Winter currently has his 33 in position 3, and Jason Perry really wants to pull it away from him. Look how close he is behind. Is he going to attempt to pass? He ducks to the inside despite the damage. Down into turn 1, cleanly outbrakes him, and I think he's got this done.
Well, Austin Winter let him by right there. I think he hoped for Jason to outbrake himself and he can duck into the inside there, but it just didn't happen for him.
Yeah, it's awful late for him to be attempting any sort of fuel saving at this point.
I sadly have to report that the 90-degree corner caught Christopher L. Smith out once again, crashing into the barrier and now limping his car back into the pits.
Oh. Well, if you are a Spec 2 driver, apparently, watch out for 90-degree corner, because we've seen a lot of Spec 2 drivers spin. This is the first we've seen serious damage come out of it. Still following this battle for 3rd between Perry and Winter. Winter with a nice little run, but lifts a little bit on the way down to turn 7. Staying right in his tire tracks. The highest pitter at the moment, still Ironome. They were behind Houdalutis and Halliburton at the time of pitting by about 5 seconds, which kind of makes me wonder, though, what the lap times are looking like between Houdalutis and Noam. Is he gaining now that he's got a clean car? There's our leader. We're on a 2:11.8, 2:11.7s.
Looking at my timing screen, last lap from Houdalutis was 0.5 faster than Ironum's.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as well. The last 3 laps were all slower. He was in the 2:12s each of the last 3 laps compared to Houdalutis in the 2:11s. So don't have to be a mathematician on that one. I think he's running away.
Also, the thing is that Ironum's fastest lap was a 12.150 compared to the 2:11.633 for Houdalutis, as Austin Winter and Jason Perry come in for pits.
All right, going to be the battle of the pit crews here between Perry and Winter. can see the Ohio driver ahead right now. I think he should pit behind Perry, if I remember the qualifying. Indeed, that's going to be the case. And Daniel Sadro also coming in behind them. You can see on screen as we watch from back of Jason Perry. These cars don't need to take tires. Winner out first. And I think that looks like a slightly better stop for Winner, just by about 0.2 on my scoring. Look at the gap that gives him. So that brings them out ahead of McAreevy. Again, he has not pitted yet, but ahead of Luis Emerton, at least for one of them for now, because Jason Perry being challenged by Luis down the inside into turn 3, and he gets it done.
Well, the 3 cars that battled are back together again, that being obviously Winner, Emerton, and Perry. But one thing I have to point out here, Austin's pit stop was so fast that he gained about a second in total on both Perry and Emerton throughout the full pit lane. So really great job by him pulling up to his pit stop.
Saw almost a little bit of contact between Emerton and Perry there. Jason's not giving it up. He took his spare car in that, so now he's got a clean front end, hassling Emerton all the way through the S's. Emerton once again drifting that little bit wide, comes back to the racing line, covers him off, almost squeezes Perry off the road.
Well, I was talking about the samurai slices on attacking, but this starts to look like Lois is driving with a samurai sword between his teeth while defending this. Just incredible hard defending there from Lois so far.
We'll need to go to it, but our leader is in, riding on board with Perry as he ducks to the inside, but he loses the draft and slows down. Is he going to try to outbrake him into the corner? That's the question. Ducks out again.
Nope, brake too early. But all this fighting is fun and enjoyable for our viewers, and it's also really enjoyable for Austin Winner, who is the real winner in this battle right now.
Yeah, he has been running away from these guys for sure. He still has Jerry McAreevy behind him, so they could catch up because they are behind McAreevy and could use that slipstream to get into the fight. Hootalutus came back out in second place, since most of the top drivers have pitted, and we were paying attention to the difference in times. Look at this, Steph. Between Hootalutus and Nom, it is roughly 9.5 seconds now.
Yes, but Nom is closing in. It was already 10 seconds, so he already chopped like half a second of Dimitris, so that is quite interesting. Either Aero was really good on this first sector of this lap, or Dimitris just on these cold dirt tires, not 100% confident.
Hard to tell at this point. This is third place, Emil Orza, one of the few drivers that still need to take a scheduled stop. Halliburton, Orza, and McAreevy are the only 3. In fact, going over to McAreevy, Luis Emerton did indeed catch him. Remember, Emerton's dealing with Perry, so now he's got one ahead and one behind.
He is under real pressure there from Luis Emerton as he makes the little mistake going a bit too far, but it's not costing him anything so far.
Emerton tries to go the long way around to the hairpin. Oh, cuts back and almost chops off Perry.
That could have been very costly yet again.
It's those little mistakes you got to watch out for. Thankfully, everybody able to continue on. This should effectively, I think, be the battle for 5th when all is said and done.
You know, one thing I have to say here is that,
oh no, another one spinning around in the 90-degree corner.
What I wanted to say, this fighting here reminds me so much of MotoGP, someone going by trying to cut in at the exit and then really out-accelerating them. And these cars fighting just are so similar to MotoGP cars, bikes.
McAreevy is in, Orza is in and out, And Kane Halliburton has come in and exited, but he's within a second of Dimitri. The battle for the win is still on. This thing ain't over.
This thing ain't over, and if they make too many mistakes or get fighting too hard for too long, Aeronam will be there in just a moment.
Is that close enough for the draft to maybe get him that little bit closer? Can Kane Halliburton threaten to steal the win away from Dimitri, considering Kane was faster in qualifying and by nearly a tenth? I suspect he could still reel in this red and white machine.
Well, it is most definitely possible, and I think if it's going to be someone who can outbreak Dimitris, it is going to be Kane Halliburton.
He's already chopped about 2/10, now 3/10 off that gap. He is reeling him in. Kane Halliburton is going to make this an exciting battle for the lead yet. And they have nothing to worry about behind. It's a whole 10 seconds back to Aeronam. They are free to fight in these last 10 minutes. Oh, Jason Perry had a problem. Jason Perry coming through turn 9, spun the car all of his own volition. And you could see that cost him to the very driver he saw spin just moments ago. Emerton worked his way by. We're looking at the replay now.
Just unfortunate, a little bit too late on the brakes, and then tried to step a little bit too early on the throttle again. Spins it around 360 degree and back in behind Lewis Hamilton he goes.
So they pick up the battle where it left off, and I tell you what, Austin Winter's probably grinning ear to ear because he is now just basically on his own to run his race for a top 5 the rest of the way through.
Yes, indeed. Now, Austin, he is about 3 seconds behind Alan Chapman at the timing line, and I think he is the faster car of the two, so we might see something developing in between them.
Going to the Spec 2 leader, Jens Nordstrom. He's got a big gap back to C Love at this point, a full 18 seconds between them. All Jens has to do is avoid the same mistake we've seen plenty of the Spec 2 leaders do, which is spinning the car.
Yes, and a problem is because of all these spins that we've seen so far from Spec 2 drivers, the Spec 2 class is quite widespread throughout the back half of this race. So sadly, we can't show too many fights as there aren't too many happening right now.
Back down in 8th position, Emerton versus Perry. This has been one going on for a while. Both UK and I drivers, both very good here in the Spec Racer Ford. Let's see who will come out on top in Japan. Right now, it is Emerton in 8th, Perry in 9th. Down into turn 9. Perry getting closer, trying to recover from his incident, and a very good exit. That seems to be the weakness of Emerton all day today, just getting off those corners.
Yes, and it's quite interesting because some people try to drive them straight off as, wow, Perry, what a drive there through the turn 10 hairpin. Getting alongside Lewis Emerton here down the backstretch into turn 11, the 90-degree corner. Let's see if he can get it done this time around.
He's got a nose in. He's a little bit better under braking, but this is the danger zone we've seen. Not the danger zone I expected. They're going to stay side by side. Coming into the chicane, this could be bad news. Emerton comes out ahead for now. But what about the exit off the chicane? Looks like Perry has got the better one. Yeah, indeed.
Just ever so slightly. Let's see if he can.
Of a straight, though. Go ahead.
If he can do it, he tries it going to the inside here.
Given room at the apex, Emerton staying slightly wide, and they're going to go side by side again. At this point, I'm starting to think these two are just having fun. Looks like the momentum is in favor of Emerton. He comes across and brakes. Jason Perry does not attack.
It's quite interesting, and once again you saw Lewis taking the wide line. It helped him to stay in front of Chase, and that's just how widespread the lines in turn 2 are.
Oof, look at how close Spider-Man's getting right up under that gearbox of the Spec Racer of Emerton. Gets to the inside as they come to the outfield section. Though that'll be the inside of turn 7. Nope, and he's going to be well clear, so Emerton is going to slot back in line.
Emerton did lift there slightly to get Jason in front of him, so maybe he will try something out of turn 10.
Haven't seen a change for the lead, I can report, but it's been staying very close between Hootaludis and Halliburton.
Oh, Perry.
Perry with a little bit of a mistake. Emerton not able to do anything with it. Here we go again, out of turn 10. This is where it started to erupt a lap ago.
And by the way, ahead of them we have Chauvin versus Shaw for 6th. They're also very close and fighting with each other for that position. Never mind. No, Lewis stayed behind them.
Yeah, I think Lewis is just staying back there for now and biding his time.
As I think you were close to 2 laps, or yeah, close to. We should be 3 laps to go, I think.
Indeed, and Dimitri just went defensive down into turn 3. Kane is starting to apply the pressure. Is this when he applies his attack? Let's see what the number 12 can do. He's going to have another run down to turn 5. Dimitri stays over to the right side of the track, covering off the inside, drifts back over to try and get close to the racing line. Kane is later on the brakes, though. They're side by side for P1 here with only 3.5 minutes to go. Momentum in favor of the number 12 car. But as they come through 6, it looks like the lead will stay in the hands of Dimitri.
Yes, Kane didn't want to stay side by side. They're slightly lifted, as we saw with Emerton, to let Dimitrios by again.
You think this is just testing the waters from Kane, not a serious attempt, just seeing what's possible maybe?
Up here, no, but definitely into turn 1 and 2. That was definitely not only testing the water, but really going for it.
All right, down into 10. Can Kane get himself the jump off the corner? Doesn't quite look strong enough. He will be within the draft.
By the way, I can report that Michael Shaw made a mistake, pushing him back into 10th position. So the fight for 6th is no more.
Going to be awful tight on how many laps are left here.
Should be 1 to go, yeah, at the line here.
So white flag will be coming out, we believe. And indeed, yes, as they tick under 2:12 left, with that being some of the fastest laps out here, white flag is now waving. Dimitri Hootaludis has to hold off Kane Halliburton for 1 more. He's ahead of Euronam. If you're Dimitri, do you try and fight for this win, knowing you could get turned around and lose out to Eero? Or do you give it up and just take second, knowing that you're still gaining points on your championship rival?
A racer never gives up.
I like that. We got to go back to the lead. I know we're taking a glance, but the lead is side by side right now because Kane Halliburton had to move around turn 3 out of 4. He could have more momentum. Look at him swing back around, but the inside to turn 5 is going to go to Dimitri. Oh, they come together, trading paint down into the last lap here. Kane Halliburton tries hard to find the grip off the corner. I'm not sure that he has it.
I can report nothing happened between Jason Perry and Lewis Emerton so far.
Turn 6 still door to door between Dimitri and Kane. Down into 7. The inside is going to go to Kane, but the momentum swings back in favor of Dimitri. He fully gets ahead. They're now line astern once again. Probably the first time this whole lap we've seen that. Down into turn 9. Defensive move from Dimitri, making that car as wide as possible. He's going to get 2 more good tries. Staying all the way to that, just hugging the grass is Dimitri. He's not going to offer any chance to get the inside line. If you're going to pass me, you're going to have to do it the hard way. looks for the over-under. Does Kane Halliburton. Now ducking down the pit wall. Support pits. Hopefully keep a chance for Kane Halliburton from trying to get by. He's got a little bit of speed. Tries to squeeze him down, then goes back to the racing line. Can Dimitri hold him off? Just a nose ahead for Kane Halliburton. It's going to switch back into the chicane in favor of Kane. Now he's fully on him. We could see one last time from Dimitri, but I think it's too little, too late as they come off the final chicane. Or is it? No. Oh, and a missed A missed for Kane Halliburton. Is going to hand it back over to Dimitri one more time. The Greek driver is going to take the win here in Motegi.
Oh, that is not how you want to finish a race.
Oh, disappointment for Kane.
By the way, Lewis Emerton and Jason Perry, they are trading paints, not literally, but virtually. Lewis Emerton getting by Jason Perry into the 90-degree turn. Let's see if we can get it out of here. And Lewis Emerton stays in front.
Yep, I figured Luis was just biding his time. It worked out for him to finish ahead of Perry. They were followed home by Sadro, you saw behind them. There's Orza back there as well, was not able to beat them. He'll get a top 10, though.
And Jens Nordström is going to be our winning Spec 2 driver in 12th position. Nearly 41 seconds behind our leaders.
Still a fair few drivers still out there on track, but very few battling. A little close between Smith and Gradwell. This is for 19th and a battle for positions in the Spec 2 race. But I think it's going to take something special for Tom to manage to overtake him. As he closes in. Too little, too late for Tom Gradwell. He's going to have to settle for 20th as Christopher Smith will cross the line in 19th. That's all of our battles here today. Miro Hraski is going to be the last to cross the line, so we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Twin Ring Motegi. We just watched round 6 and the Weekend Warriors presented by Sim Stickers. It's 2 for 2 for Dimitri Hudaludis. He takes back-to-back wins in Japan. And it wasn't sure until all the way the final corner. Kane Halliburton turned out it was downshifting too early. The car popped into neutral. He didn't realize it when he tried to shift back into gear. And that gave him second place. Iro Nam finished in third, well back, but looking at his incidents, he might actually get some more penalty points, which is going to hurt him even more in this championship. Alan Chapman followed him home in fourth. Austin Winter takes P5 with Philippe Chauvin taking 6th, Luis Emerton at 7th, and Jason Perry 8th. Then Daniel Sadro finishes 9th. And how about Emil Orza? Didn't get a lap time in qualifying, but he made up for it going from 26th to 10th.
Michael Shaw finishing out in 11th, losing 2 positions from his starting grid. Jens Nordström losing 1, but he is a winning Spec 2 driver in 12th. In 13th, we have our real hard charger of the day, real meaning he did put in a qualifying lap, going from 23rd to 13th. Sealov 18th to 14th. He is our second place Spec 2 driver. Third place Spec 2 driver Todd Hansen in 15th. 16th, Fred Desson. 17th, Adam Bradshaw. 18th, Jeff Cantor. 19th, Christopher L. Smith. And in 20th, we have Tom Gradwell.
Isanumi takes 21st with Gary Wolbold in 22nd. Miro Prasky finished in 23rd with Francois Van Dornveld in 24th. Nem Cross Jr. didn't have a great day today, 2 laps down in 25th. Jeff Jacobson in 26th, Paul Godden 27th, and Paul Hickey in 28th. Those last few drivers, of course, DNF'd. We have a few of our drivers to talk to, though. The first one that we're going to chat with is our winner, Dimitri Hudaludis, who had a very exciting finish. Dimitri, you finished the pit stops. Kane Halliburton came out behind you, and then he started gaining. What started going through your mind?
First of all, hello guys. I was really concerned as Kane was fuel saving the whole time behind me, but thankfully he made some small mistakes and he lost some seconds there. But I guess his fuel saving paid off, and he came right behind me again. So it was as it was the same way as it started, but I think he was a little bit faster than me on some parts of the track. I knew that it's difficult to overtake in this track, despite the huge straights, but he managed to do it. He accomplished a great overtake from the outside there, as you guys saw, and I thought that it was over there, but I think he stuck in neutral after the second chicane, and I passed him with all that shenanigans that occurred there.
Yeah, obviously the botched shift definitely handed it over. Now, unfortunately, you guys are heading away from Japan now, which seems to be a good stomping ground for you. Both Japanese races you've won. Is there anything special about these tracks?
I don't know if there is anything special, but certainly there is a bond between those tracks because I use the same setup in both tracks, and they seem kind of they resemble, we can say, by a very vague notion there. But yeah, I think they shoot me well. At least I can be very consistent without huge effort here. So I think that's the main point of success.
All right, we're halfway through the season. You are now leading Ironam. It's not a lot of points, but you are leading him. Is this championship possible?
We have drop weeks. We're still midway to the championship, so it is possible. From yeah, of course, but of course nothing is over. Aero is stronger than me in some tracks. I may be stronger than him in some tracks. Different things happen. Sometimes he got hit from behind here before the pace lap even started, so he had a huge disadvantage from the very beginning. So we will see how the upcoming races will pan out. Nothing is over yet.
Yep, I think that's how it always goes in racing. Well, congratulations on back-to-back wins. We'll see you in a week's time when we head over to West Virginia.
Thank you, Joe. See you next week.
That was Dimitri Houdaloutis, our Greek winner here today. And up next, we have a driver who was in a good battle pretty much all race long. Louis Emerton's going to talk to Steph Schlacher.
Yes, Louis, all the way through the race, you were involved in battles left, right, and center. How did it feel to you being involved in so many different battles?
Oh, it felt amazing. It's so much fun to race in this car. You can go side by side every turn, and you can give. Oh, it's just brilliant. I used to race this car quite a lot, but I stopped for a long time, and that was a really cool intro back to it.
Yeah, it was a very good intro back into the car, as you said, starting in 6th, finishing in 7th, having a bit of a, let's say, hiccup at the start of the race with backing up, but you also had some self mistakes. Is that just the somewhat inexperience that you now carry into this car again?
Yeah, I'd forgotten how extreme the lift-off oversteer is in this thing, and I think when I spun, the guy in front of me had gone a bit wide, so I'd kind of panicked and just come off the throttle a bit too much. Yeah, I mean, I'm used to the Nissan speeds, but when this thing lets go, it really lets go.
It really lets go. It's kind of like the anti of the Nissan, because you have in the Nissan obviously the big oversteer on the revs when the turbo kicks in, and here you have it on the complete opposite with having the off throttle oversteer. Now, next race we're going to West Virginia, if I have heard right. How do you feel about next week?
Yeah, I quite like Summit Point. Lots of bad memories in Camel GT, but I imagine it'd be quite fun in this car. I am looking forward to it.
It must definitely be less carnage and less hectic as in Camel GT it can be. But yeah, Louis, thank you so much for talking to us. Is there anyone you want to thank before we leave you let you into the wilderness?
Oh, I just want to thank the Weekend Warrior guys for letting me join late in the season. I didn't think I could, and when they said I could, I was really happy about that. So yeah, I'll be sticking around, and thanks to those guys for putting on great races.
Yes, thanks to them, and thanks to you for putting on a great show for us. That was Louis Emerton, and sad, I think that is all we have time for today.
Yeah, only one podium finisher. It's a little bit sad. We'll have to get Kane and Eero out to talk to us. Especially would have liked to hear Kane's perspective on that one. But again, we want to give a big thank you to our sponsors for Sim Stickers, of course, for presenting this series. They've been a big help in making this happen this season, as well as supportforguys.com. Definitely go check both of them out and let them know that we sent you. Also, we want to thank Steve Ray and the SRF community for coming back for another season of broadcasting here on GSRC. Of course, this is the first time we get to cover the full season, and it's been exciting. Big thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Steph, Sean, and Doug. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_RAM. The next race, as we mentioned, is at Summit Point. Much shorter track, much quicker lap times in this car. That'll be Sunday, October 28th, a week from now at 3:45 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.